Dubai, United Arab Emirates. President Donald Trump on Thursday announced that the United Arab Emirates and Israel agreed to establish normal diplomatic relations in a development that will put on pause Israel's efforts to annex parts of the West Bank claimed by Palestinians. The president released a joint statement from the two countries and the United States on Twitter announcing the move. Leaders of the three countries spoke earlier in the day, according to the statement. The news comes amid years of warming ties between the UAE and Israel, which until now have not had official diplomatic or trade relations. The UAE, as with many Arab countries, has had an economic boycott against Israel since its founding and does not formally recognize it. But cooperation between the two on issues like security and the increasing frequency of unofficial meetings by leaders, often aided by Washington, have been widely reported for some time. The deal makes the UAE the first Persian Gulf state to normalize ties with Israel and only the third Arab country, after Egypt and Jordan, to have open diplomatic ties to the country. Huge breakthrough today. Historic peace agreement between our two great friends, Israel and the United Arab Emirates. Trump wrote in a post on Twitter. The agreement is a foreign policy win for the president, who is behind in the polls against presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden ahead of November's election. Trump has made peace in the Middle East a signature element of his first term, though his administration had made little substantial progress. Biden praised the agreement on Thursday without mentioning the Trump administration, saying it builds on the efforts of multiple administrations to foster a broader Arab-Israeli opening. The UAE's de facto ruler, Mohammed bin Zayed, in more muted language, described the breakthrough primarily as an agreement to stop any further annexation of Palestinian territories by Israel and to establish a roadmap toward a bilateral relationship. During a call with President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, an agreement was reached to stop further Israeli annexation of Palestinian territories. The UAE and Israel also agreed to cooperation and setting a roadmap towards establishing a bilateral relationship, bin Zayed tweeted. According to the joint statement, Israel and the UAE also agreed to expand and accelerate cooperation on the development of a vaccine for COVID-19. Working together, these efforts will help save Muslim, Jewish, and Christian lives throughout the region, the statement said. In June, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu touted the cooperation on the vaccine as a sign of better ties between Israel and the UAE, though Emirati officials downplayed the development.